Okay, enough of the GT metrics. So that's looking at the actual page load. So we're looking at the overall page load, which includes things like the images and the text, etc., etc. But because we're specifically in WordPress now, we want to kind of analyze the WordPress side of it. And to do that, we use this P3 profiler. And again, we have a P3 profiler scan, which is a live scan. There's no credits required for this. There's no API credits or anything. It's completely free, so you can do this as often as you like. And we've also got the historical report. So again, in a similar manner as we saw with the GT Metrics plugin, we can pull the historical reports up and look at those in nice. We'll show you that in just a moment. And of course, we can access the plugin dashboard as well. So let's just go and do a P3 scan of these same sites again, and we'll see exactly what we're talking about. And it goes off and requests a scan. You have to have some patience while it runs this one because it can take a little while, and it will be waiting for the scan there. It's picked up the results of that scan now, and once it's picked up the results of the scan, it will immediately go off and start a new scan on the next site. And of course, it will have to sit around and wait until P3 profiler has profiled that site and returned the data. So we're going through now on number 3, just waiting for the results for that one. And results are in, and it's now checking and scanning on the final site for us, and that's just now waiting the results for that, and that'll be done in a few seconds. And there it is, complete. And similar to the previous plugin test that we did, or the page load test that we did, we get a little table, and we'll cover what the table means in just a moment. These will only cover individually now because it will refresh the page each time. It needs to do that to run the actual P3 scans. So what we want to do now is look at the historic information, in other words, the latest information that we have scanned, or the last information we scanned, and we can do that here by selecting the report P3 profiler historical report, and just do it, and it will very quickly pull that information back again in a single table for us. Now, as before, there's a legend at the top, tells you exactly what these titles mean across the top here. So we have a total load time, we have the site load time, the profile overhead, plugin load time and theme load times, and the core load times. So those are the actual WordPress. So this is the WordPress plugins, the WordPress themes, and the WordPress core files, and how long they take to load. Now, just to mention what this profile overhead is, that's kind of quite important here. What it's saying is that this profiler plugin itself has an overhead because it has to scan it and check everything. It itself takes up an amount of time. Now, it only takes up time while it's doing the scan, so it doesn't affect your site to its normal running. So so you have to take that number out of the actual measurements. So if you look at this, you'll see that the total time is 1.48 seconds. But the site load time is only 0.52 seconds, and that's because there's a 0.96 seconds overhead from the actual plugin itself. But just to reiterate, just to be sure you understand, this only affects it whilst it's measuring, so it doesn't affect your site. So your actual site load time in this particular case is just over half a second, so 5.2 seconds, and that's made up of the plugins loading, the themes loading, and the core loading. So remember, this now is not the page load time that we looked at previously. That includes all the site contents and the the images, videos, whatever else you've got to load up. This is the actual WordPress load time, if you like. And similar as before, this gives us a summary overview, but we can go in and look specifically at the details. So if we want to look at this chemical resistant gloves, for instance, we can go over here. In fact, I've got all 4 open, so I'll open up the 4 for the moment. So we'll go and look at the P3 profiler plugin dashboard. Again, we'll just do that, and it will open up the tabs for us in the top. Okay, and here's what it kind of looks like. So here's the results from the last scan that was run, and you can see here in this particular one, this is the chemical resistant gloves again. So if we look at this one over here, it tells you the IP that it was scanned at, and of course you can use a start scan and rescan again, but In actual fact, every time you open this up, it will do an auto scan. And we can see from this that we have currently 10 active plugins in this particular site. We've got a plugin load time of 0.196. The plugin impact, as it's saying, is 37.3. So of the whole overall page load time, 37% of it is taken up by loading the plugins. And you've also got a list here of the MySQL queries as 29 queries per visit. And down here we have a pie chart, which gives us some idea of a percentage of the overall time of the actual plugins to load. Now remember, this is a portion of that time, so don't be distressed when you see large areas shown by some plugins, because it's always a total of 100%. That 100% in this particular case is 0.19 seconds, so it's very, very low. Important, it's going to be a very small amount of time. So remember, as I said, these graphs are a view of 100% of the actual plugin load time. So don't get distressed when you see any large portions there, because they're not necessarily large in real time. You need to take it into view or into comparison with this number up here. And if you look down here, it gives you a little color graph, a little color code of exactly what they are. If we hover over them as well, you can actually see which of these plugins are doing what and what percentage of the load time there is. You can look through these again and say there's a detailed breakdown in this tab. We've got some simple timelines, we've got some more detailed timelines, we've got query timelines for MySQL, and we've got the advanced metrics, which are the same information basically that we have in our summary tables. In here it will tell you a little bit more about them, so you can have a greater understanding of what they are. And similarly, there'll be a graph and measures for all the other ones that we've run as well. Okay, and that's the site performance module. So enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next video.